Slaughter is one of the most inhumane ways a horse can go because not many people know the true horrors that go on in there. And the actual horses that are there, they're not old, they're not sick, they are perfectly healthy horses that are just not wanted anymore. So if you bring a horse to auction, they're going to the slaughterhouse because there are these people called killer buyers who buy horses for the slaughterhouses. And race horses are even sent there because they're unsuccessful and they're not bringing any money to their owners, so the owners are just like, yeah, we're just going to get rid of you. And the pregnant mares have it the worst because when they give birth, their babies are separated from them and they have to watch their babies die right in front of their eyes. The transportation is probably one of the most dangerous parts of horse slaughter because when they're on it, they have no food and no water and they don't have any rest because they're in these double-decker cattle cars and they can't lift up their heads. And so if they fall, they are most likely to be trampled by the other horses and they will have other serious injuries, including eyeballs hanging by a thread, gaping wounds, and bones sticking out of the skin. And for the horses who can't get up when they're being unloaded, they are drug out by chains and ropes, and all the other horses, they're beaten and whipped with electric cattle prods. And horse meat wasn't ever meant for human consumption because the shots that they get at the vet have chemicals in them that are toxic to humans, and some horse meat has actually been found to be drug-laced. So why do we slaughter horses if we can't even eat them? Well, I mean, people in Europe, they still eat it because they think it's good. It's actually in their dog food. Now, the slaughter is different in every country because in, like, the US, we have to shoot a metal rod into their head to make them unconscious. However, the machine doesn't always hit its mark. So the horse is most likely to be conscious when its throat is slit and it is dismembered. And Mexico is not any better. They use a knife technique where they stab the horse multiple times in the neck, and you know, most people think, okay, that's a quick, painless death, but really it's not, because it's really just severing the spinal cord, which causes the horse to be paralyzed until they die of suffocation. And so yeah, they're still conscious when they're dismembered. And in Canada, Australia, Great Britain, Europe, and Japan, they use a rifle technique. But the horses have super thick skulls, and so the bullet doesn't always make it to the brain. And actually, in Canada, a researcher went to a Canadian horse slaughterhouse and found a skull with no bullet holes, which isn't good because that means they just went ahead and killed him when he was still alive. And the meat definitely varies because, you know, every country uses different techniques, and so there's like faster ways to kill the horse. But in Mexico, they're at the very top of the chart with 78,000 pounds of horse meat per year. And then it comes to us, the US, with 25,000 pounds, and then Canada with 18,000. That means that the highest amount of horse deaths are in North America. Dang it. And then there's like, I mean, horses, they weigh around 840 pounds to 220 or 2,200 pounds. But that's like with the fat, the meat, tendons, you know, everything else put onto it along with bones. And then the rest of the carcass is really just thrown aside. So, and most of the horses, they are killed before the age of 9. And in fact, only 4% of horses are killed after the age of 9. Horse slaughter is a traumatic time for horses, and I mean, it's pretty easy to see why, because they're all pretty young when they die, and most people don't realize that. But like horses, they were never meant for this. They weren't meant to be in tiny little pens, scared for their life. They're meant to be, like, you know, out in the wild, or maybe with a little girl, because that, to me, that's the best thing. Whenever I see a little girl on the back of a horse, it's just the cutest thing ever, and I love it. And like, I ride horses, and horses, to me, they're like freedom. And if we get rid of them, then it's basically like saying goodbye to that freedom. Because when I ride and I'm in the saddle, everything goes away. It's just me, the horse, and my surroundings. I get rid of stress, worries, my insecurities, everything. It just goes away when I ride. Some of my favorite quotes about horses are, if you have never loved a horse, a part of your soul sleeps, which I really do think is true, because there's just something about the inside of a horse, or the outside of a horse, sorry, that is good for the inside of a person, because it changes everything around you, and I love it. But like, why do we slaughter horses if they give a lot of people this feeling? I don't understand, because like, it's in dog food and people eat them even though they're not supposed to. So like, why don't we try to stop it if it's this bad? Why can't we do something about it?